Carlos is gonna be.
Councilor Rosenthal, could you go tell Councilor Rosenthal that we're doing an in-person? Yep. Yeah,
Take some time then. Council will be a delayed start here with the new hybrid technology. All of you are, most of you are online. We're moving Councilor Rosenthal in from his office. All right.
yeah, I think we're gonna just wait. We're having a little difficulty with the mics. People are saying that you're a bit hard to hear on Zoom, President Peterson.
Okay. Let me know. Gamble.
Good sound check.
Are we making progress? Thank you for your patience online.
For any of these mics, they're just like not working. Okay.
Testing.
I recommend that this.
They're all muted on here.
Testing.
There you go.
All right, does somebody have?
I'm still not on.
Is that better,
Testing.
everybody? Mics were not working.
Yeah, it sounds really good.
Okay. Okay. Sorry about the technical difficulties, folks, but
I'm still not on the
let me.
session.
Well, do you mind if we get going? You are present and accounted for.
Yep. I'll just do a quick technology check then for
Thank you.
folks. Thank you. So just before we get started, before I start the recording, everybody, we are doing, this is our first hybrid work session of the year. So for everybody in person, we should have our computers off and our cameras set to the Poly webcam. We should also make sure that everybody's laptop is completely muted and that everybody is muted on Zoom. So with that, we should be ready to get going. So I will go ahead and start the recording, and we'll have a short introductory video.
Recording in progress.
For as long as people have called this place home, they've been welcomed with clean air, clean water, and an abundance of nature. As time went on, people saw the need to balance how we build cities with how we protect farms and forests. That's why across Greater Portland, in 24 cities and 3 counties, there's one metro government that brings us all together to maintain that vital balance, to provide services across cities and counties, to create a better future together. Hello, we're Metro. We plan for housing, jobs, and safe transportation. We protect land, air, and water by managing garbage and recycling. We support arts and culture by overseeing local venues to keep the economy growing. And we connect people to nature across 17,000 acres of parks and trails and at the Oregon Zoo. Metro is all of us working together, connecting how we live today with how we plan for the future. Hello, we're Metro, and so are you.
Great. I will declare a quorum and call the meeting to order with my brand new gavel. Thank you to Councilor Gonzalez for making sure that I could gavel into the meetings. Very sweet gift. I will now ask our Clerk Connor to call the roll for attendance.
Thank you, President Peterson. Councilor Gonzalez.
Present, and good morning to all.
Good morning. Councilor Wong. Councilor, we couldn't hear you there, but I saw that you unmuted.
Present.
There we go. And Councilor Rosenthal.
Present in silhouette.
Thank you. Councilor Nolan.
Good morning, I'm here.
Good morning. Councilor Craddock.
Present.
Councilor Lewis.
Present.
And President Peterson.
Here, thank you. I want to just thank staff for getting us to this point where we are working in a hybrid mode for the work sessions in a different configuration with the same, hopefully the same technology. But thank you for everybody's work getting us to this point, and I'm glad we're testing it out with a small group today. Thank you, Councilor Rosenthal, for being a guinea pig. We'll figure out how to make sure that anybody who is against the windows isn't in silhouette for the next time, but thank you. And before we begin our full agenda, can we please play the safety video for our in-person attendees?
Hi, I'm John Rourke. I'm the head carpenter here at the Newmark Theater. Safety is a big part of my job. Some of the things we consider here at the Newmark Theater are the safety of our crews, the safety of the cast, the safety of the audience. I'm out here at the Newmark Theater. You're at Metro Regional Center. The council chamber is located on the 3rd floor of the building. In event of fire or a fire alarm, please exit through the door in the northeast corner of the room, go down the steps to the 2nd floor, and then exit through the main entrance by the reception desk and gather in the courtyard outside that entrance. In the event of a medical or fire emergency, please call 911 and notify security agent at the front desk. The nearest defibrillator is mounted on the steps leading from the reception desk down to Grand Avenue. Thank you.
Thank you. We will start our first presentation today. It's the Ultra High Speed Ground Transportation Update. Councilors, as you'll recall, I have been representing us on the Cascadia Corridor Ultra High Speed Ground Transportation Program that is actually funded out of Washington State with the desire, a public-private partnership started mostly by Microsoft's interest in being able to connect Vancouver, BC to Portland, Oregon. But with a lot of big players in Washington State, including Governor Inslee, former Governor Gregoire, are working on this in Washington State, but there is a MOU that was signed with Governor Brown, Governor Inslee, and Premier Horgan of British Columbia to move forward with this work. The state of Washington, I'm sure Margie will go more in depth in this, but the state of Washington, I believe, has set aside $150 million to be able to go after federal money for high-speed rail study. It would just be a study at this point. So that would be their local match. And I asked staff to come and give us an overview of where we are in the conversations on this project through WashDOT, and kind of get, what I need from all of you is kind of just worries, concerns, good questions regarding what our future role in this conversation can and should be as we move into the future, because this is obviously a long ways off, but we have to start somewhere. So Margie, do you want to kick us off? You're on mute.
So,
There you go. There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Good morning, everyone. For the record, I'm Margie Bradway, she, hers, a Deputy Director of the Planning, Development, and Research Department. Before I introduce our distinguished panel, President Peterson set me up perfectly for my talking points, which was to talk about the massive opportunity that the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, so IIJA, provides for high-speed rail. The IIJA delivered huge for passenger rail. It provided $66 billion to improve and expand passenger service. We have not seen an influx of this money on passenger rail in a long, long time. It's a huge investment. Furthermore, the way it was done and structured in the bill, there was heavy emphasis on planning, which obviously we need to do planning to expand our high-speed rail here in the Cascadia, but also on innovation and research. There was a $21 billion office set up in a joint kind of office with USDOT and Clean Energy to look at innovations in the space of rail. So it's really an exciting time if you are a transportation planner, urban planner, I think, and if you look at the models at Europe or have traveled Japan, we all know that a high-speed passenger rail is opportunity, a huge opportunity to create great livable places and provide seamless travel from place to place. Our panel today is going to walk us through the, I would say, the largest, but not the only high-speed rail study happening. We have one study that this study we're most involved with, which is the Cascadia Ultra High-Speed Ground Rail. There's also talk of, and a little bit of planning work being done on a high-speed rail connection between Portland all the way out to Salt Lake City. It also involves Boise, but we're not going to get into that rail line today. We're going to focus on Cascadia. So here we have Metro's transit and high-speed rail lead, Allie Holmquist from Metro, Jennifer Sellers. Fun fact, Jennifer and I went to law school together way back when. It's good to see you, Jennifer. And Jennifer is the Rail and Operations Statewide Multimodal Network Unit Manager. Her title is longer than mine at ODOT. And Jason Bellozo, the Strategic Planning Manager for Washington State Department of Transportation. And as Lynn said, WashDOT has been an incredible lead as well as resource. They put a lot of staff work into this. So I just want to thank WashDOT in particular for all their work on this project. So I'm going to hand it off to our panel at this point. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Margie and President Peterson, for the introduction. This is Allie Holmquist. I'm going to start us off. As has already been mentioned, we wanted to talk a little bit about the work that's been done to date. A few of those guiding materials are part of your packet, and then also talk about some of the work ahead and get some input to shape that work, both on our participation on the staff committee, technical committee, and policy committee. The largest, which is the Federal Railroad Administration Corridor ID proposal, which we'll be talking about in a little bit more detail later on. In anticipation for that, we're going to be talking with JPAC next week, and we had a preview at TPAC, but we were bumped, and so we will be picking up that discussion again in January. And that's because with the Corridor ID proposal, all of the partners participating on the policy committee will be asked to consider signing a letter of support once the NOFO is released, which we expect later this year or early next year. Next slide, please. Just to talk a little bit more about the MOU that President Peterson mentioned, that committed to advancing activities in support of an ultra high-speed ground transportation project that might serve as a catalyst to transform the Pacific Northwest from Vancouver, BC to Seattle and to Portland. by providing a fast, frequent, reliable, and environmentally responsible transportation connection. So with speeds of around 250 miles per hour, that type of system could allow for travel times of less than an hour between each of the cities mentioned. And the MOU established the goal of laying the groundwork for the creation of a formal legal entity to continue project development, while also doing the work to seek community engagement and input, gaining critical support from decision makers and coalition building, positioning the corridor for future funding opportunities, and also for efficient environmental clearance. And this is provided in your packet as an attachment. Next slide, please. And then before we get into the details of the program initiation work, I wanted to provide a little bit of background on the connection to the regional transportation plan. And then I'll invite Jennifer to talk about the connection to the Oregon State Rail Plan. So intercity passenger rail and bus service to communities outside of the region provides an important connection to our regional and broader state transit network. And this enhanced connectivity between the mega regions could provide us an opportunity to better manage transportation or a population and economic growth in line with our 2040 growth concept, similar to the backbone that was established with the high capacity transit supporting that vision. And it could result in better access to jobs, shared resources, and economic prosperity. It's an important project identified in our 2018 RTP transit vision for its ability to support travel to and from our region through a more environmentally friendly and potentially more equitable transportation alternative. Policy 5 identifies the need to evaluate and support expanded commuter rail and intercity transit service to neighboring communities and other destinations outside the region as one of many elements as part of our transit strategy to achieve our regional goals. The RTP did acknowledge that more work is needed to determine the partnerships, infrastructure investments, and finance strategies needed to support intercity passenger service more broadly. And these are key elements of the Cascadia Corridor program initiation work. And then finally, the Climate Smart strategy provides clear direction to invest in making our transit system more convenient, frequent, accessible, and affordable in line with our regional transit strategy vision to meet our regional sustainability goals and objectives. And with that, I'll turn it over to Jennifer to talk about the relationship to the Oregon State Rail Plan.
Good morning, everyone. I hope, can everyone hear me? I hope. Hey, so I wanted to talk to you about the Oregon State Rail Plan. So ODOT, we recently updated it, and that is identifying the needs and outlining solutions for improving passenger rail in the future. So it calls for participation in visioning to develop a conceptual corridor assessment and high-level costs for high-speed rail. And so that includes identifying actions that are needed by local, state, and federal agencies to help advance development and funding. The State Rail Plan also calls for supporting the Amtrak Cascades improvements. So that's our current intercity passenger rail service between Eugene, Springfield, and Portland. So this is a 125-mile segment of the federally designated Pacific Northwest Corridor, and that connects on through Washington and into Vancouver, BC for the current current passenger rail service. So ODOT recently concluded and received a record of decision from the Federal Railroad Administration to study ways to improve the frequency, the convenience, the speed, and the reliability of the current intercity passenger rail service along this corridor. So that's documented we have a Tier 1 draft environmental impact statement, record of decision along the corridor. And so that basically marks the end of our National Environmental Policy, NEPA work. Excuse me, so that was the end of our NEPA work. And then we're looking for ways with Union Pacific to model and to determine what other infrastructure needs are needed along that rail corridor. Okay, we'll turn it back over to the next slide.
Thanks so much, Jennifer. And now Jason's going to provide more detail on the program initiation work itself.
Great. Thanks, Allie. Thanks, Jennifer. President Peterson, members of the council, good morning. My name is Jason Beloso, and I'm the Strategic Planning Manager for the WashDOT Rail Freight and Ports Division. And I've been leading the ultra-high-speed ground transportation study for several years now. Thank you for bringing this collaborative work in front of the council today, and we'll go through what we've done in the past, what we're doing right now, and what we're looking to also do in the future. So, but first, a little bit of context setting, table setting for everyone here. Like President Peterson said, we're in the very early stages of planning for this. This is a long-term project, and so we're still at the very tip of that project initiation stage. We have not made any major decisions as a result of that, and also we haven't necessarily started planning or environmental planning NEPA for that matter. We typically get questions, where are the alignments, where are the stations? We have not conducted that type of analysis yet. We've done some preliminary analysis at a high level conceptual level just to kind of understand what the trade-offs are, but no formal technical analysis yet on alignments and or station locations. Like I mentioned, this is a collaborative effort with participation from the province of British Columbia, the state of Washington and Oregon, along with private sector participation as well. And this isn't the only project of its nature in the country. You all have heard about Texas Central, you all have heard about California. We're at a point where we're able to understand lessons learned and benefit from some of the best practices that have been done with regards to those projects. So next slide, please. Let's talk a little bit about what ultra-high-speed ground transportation is about. What is this? What we're looking at is a system that links Seattle, Portland, and Vancouver, BC with speeds of up to 250 miles per hour. Those are speeds that our current set of technologies do not deliver at the moment. We are looking to maximize the connectivity of this new system, along with the existing systems that we all have across the entire corridor. So multimodal connectivity is important to this project, not just the project in itself. We anticipate a fair amount of public and private investment. Obviously, this is not going to be cheap. And order of magnitude, the cost that we had arrived at very early in the stage, very early in the studies is order of magnitude $50 billion. Again, very high planning level estimate at this point. But what we also calculated was the return on investment for an investment on ultra high speed is tenfold, if not more. Economic return upwards of 355 billion, again, across the entire corridor. Obviously, there's a lot of focus and attention on emissions. We're also looking to offset emissions as much as possible. A lot of that will depend on the technology that gets selected, the routing, the stations, et cetera. Our goal is really to build an efficient and equitable, sustainable mobility transportation system. It's really important for us to integrate the region as a whole, and then economic growth and innovation is one of our primary tenets. You may be looking at the graph on the right. Let me turn your attention to that. This project is not about the bright, shiny object. The secret sauce and the key to this project is the graph on the right. And I would say that the one thing that we're hoping this project will deliver is something that we all seem to have lack of these days, and that's time. Our ability to shrink that travel time between Seattle and Portland, Seattle, Vancouver, down to about an hour. That's the key for this project. It's not about the speed, it's about the time and the connectivities. Next slide, please. So a little bit of considerations as we continue to evolve the project. Environmental and social equity needs is at the forefront of our decision. For many of the Washington and Oregon communities, that includes our EJ communities and social equity communities, that we need to continue to engage even more so given the state and federal focus. We have this project also looking at job opportunities, quality of life issues, looking at the possibility of beginning to even address affordable housing issues as well. And again, enhancing that connectivity with the existing systems that we have. This project is not necessarily about a transportation project. In question, I typically get the question when I make that remark, Jason, what are you talking about? This project is being built to ensure that the corridor in the region continues to be economically competitive in the decades to come. So transportation as a means to an end is how we're viewing this project. It's not about the bright shiny object. It's not about the transportation system. It's all those benefits that the system is able to deliver and provide. Next slide, please. I mentioned that this project has been evolving for a number of years now. The bottom left-hand corner of shows that we started this work in 2017, starting with a feasibility analysis. It asked the question, is a system like this feasible in the corridor? And the answer was yes, but we needed more information. In 2018, we developed a planning level business case analysis, and then followed up with a 2020 framework for the future report that sets us gives us the path for what to do in the I guess roadmap here that you're seeing in front of you. I'm not going to go into the details of this slide. There's a lot of information here, but really just to point out that this is a long process. The initiation phase is in this dark green path that you see. We don't get to development until you get to that lighter green part of the roadmap here. And this is just, again, to illustrate that we have a long road ahead of us. There's a lot of steps that we need to conduct and complete before we get even to the development and construction phases. Next slide, please. So some recent developments. Ali shared the MOU that was signed in 2021. We have set up a policy and technical committee for this round of work. And I'll go into the details in terms of what the legislature has directed the Washington State DOT to do. And President Peterson is right in that the legislature also provided us $150 million as match towards a federal grant. Legislature also gave us $4 million to do the work to get us to a federal application. Next slide, please. So these are the 5 legislative directions given to us by the legislature. We're asked to do 5 essential. Our number 1 priority is to go after federal funding. That's in the bottom left-hand column that you're seeing. And we have a consultant team that's working with us to make sure that we prepare for and submit a federal application. The next one is to develop a public engagement approach. This is a first of many presentations to this council and other committees of Metro. And this is us beginning to set up and develop what that engagement outreach is going to look like. So we are asked to develop a strategic engagement plan, and we're in the beginning stages of that. We're also going to be doing scenario analysis, looking at new technologies that may be in the horizon. Technologies such as connected automated transportation, technologies such as electric aviation. What role do those advanced technologies play in context to ultra high speed, and also the land use and growth and development side of that? So we'll be taking a closer look at that under the scenario analysis requirement. And then the 4th and the 5th tasks for us is to develop an organizational framework, as well as recommendations for a more formal coordinating entity. Those recommendations will be wrapped up into a report due to the legislature June of 2023. Next slide. Ali, I believe this is over to you.
Yes, perfect. Thank you so much, Jason. So I just wanted to talk a little bit more about the policy and technical committees and the work that we've been doing together. As President Peterson mentioned, she's participating for Metro and Director Strickler for ODOT. The policy committee meets quarterly and